Tee times?
What's wrong? What did you just say? Tee times for what?
Tee times are on the sports book. It's a nice update. I think we're live now and we're just talking.
Yeah, no, we are.
Oh, I thought now it's tea time. My bad.
Oh, hey.
Ooh.
Haha, pinkies up, bitches. Let's go. Welcome to a Wednesday edition of The Slate, ladies and gentlemen, the highest rated edition of The Slate, week in and week out. I'm Emerson Latzia, Jeff Ulrich there in the middle box. You have Northwestern alum and fan, Nick Fryer. Congratulations on the
How did you get into
women's...
Northwestern, Fryer? Did you cheat or something? Or
no, is that known as like a higher educated school?
I think so. I don't really know.
Yes, I would not have gotten in if I was not an athlete. There's no way. I mean, I was a good journalism student in high school, but
you cheated. That's fine.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like to me, Jeff. Like he cut some corners there just because he's an athlete.
Right.
See, this is where you guys tell on yourself so much. You did this last week when I wasn't around for the Tuck stuff, especially Jeff saying, "Oh, get fitted for your Tucks like 2 weeks before." Thank you for calling him out on that, Emerson, by the way. But athletes generally don't have to have quite as good of grades as a normal student going into a school. There are very few exceptions where that's the case, especially when it comes to like football boneheads, because most of those guys don't even know how to tie their own shoes.
But you could have good grades as well. You could have gone the extra mile.
I did have good grades. My SAT scores were fine, but I wouldn't have gotten in on those alone. There's no way. I probably wouldn't have. I should say.
What was your SAT score?
Oh, dude, come on! I don't remember. Like it wasn't
really?
over. It wasn't 2000. I know that. It was like probably 17 something.
Well, I mean,
when we had the three.
Damn, 2000. I'm so much older than you then, because it was 1600. I think was like a perfect score when I was in high school.
And it's gone back to that now.
Yeah, 2000. Yeah, even TP on the ones that his producer Eamon is here as well. Come on, let's all share our SAT scores. Come on, this is a safe space. So I was close to 1200.
Okay, so
I was close to 12, which is respectable. That's respect, especially being Florida educated and like just filling out your name and birthday like gets you 600 points, right?
Yeah. Yes, yeah. But when you ask if Northwestern's a good school, I don't say this often, but like we have like the best journalism school in the country. We're like known for that. That's where.
Wait a minute. So no, because if you talk to like Glash or Koff, they're going to say
exactly. Consider your sources. It's not Syracuse isn't even number 2 on my list. So like and Missouri.
According to Glash and Kaufman, unless you went to Syracuse, you can't be an announcer.
Dude,
yeah. Okay.
Ask
Greeny that. Yeah, okay.
I could pick out a Syracuse alum, like within seconds of talking to somebody like in this like business. They just have such an ego. Mm-hmm. And listen, there are many talented alum of Syracuse, but most of them think their you-know-what does not stink. Mm-hmm. And it is the stinkiest you-know-what on the planet. Mm-hmm. Everybody poops and everybody's poop stinks.
Sure. I'm not going to fight you.
I tell my kids every day.
Mm-hmm. All right, man. let's dial in here. This Memorial Tournament does not stink, Jeff. You know what's crazy is they made this an elevated event like this year, which this field is always really good. So them making it an elevated event at Jack's place really only brings it up just a little bit. I think like Max Homa and then your boy Tony Fino are the only big dogs who aren't here. And I think because Max Homa's sister's getting married, so he has an excuse.
Yeah.
And I'm sure one of Finau's like 20 kids are graduating. But anywho, we talked a little bit about this morning with Jason Sobel and Len Hochberg. Usual suspects, top of the board. You were really high on Rory McIlroy. For anybody who missed the show this morning and missed your wise words, can you remind us why you were so high on Rory McIlroy?
So I like Rory more from the perspective, like a daily fantasy perspective, where he's going to be lower owned. I mean, I think there's a great chance that Rory comes in potentially with like a third of the ownership of Scotty Scheffler and potentially half the ownership of Cantlay and Schauffele. I've learned over the years that when Rory gets priced bigger than guys like Xander, who aren't in his, I'm sorry, like they're just not in the same time zone in terms of talent. Xander's a great player. He's not Rory McIlroy. You bet and you get exposure to Rory McIlroy. And I think this is one of those spots. He gained 7 strokes on approach at the PGA. I'm not really sure, to be honest, why people aren't a little bit more bullish on him. He played like this, the underlying stats at the PGA were great. I don't know, is everyone just too nervous because like it was only one event? This is Rory, right? Like, okay, yeah, he struggled getting the last major win. He's still like a multiple time per year winner on the PGA. He's top 20 to this event the last 2 seasons. Certainly he's the top player coming in with something to prove before the next major. I don't even really mind betting him at this number. Like I said, he's got a bigger number than Cantlay or Schauffele, man. I mean, you're not going to see that very often. And I think this is kind of one of those things you just take advantage of it. So I really like him for DFS. You're going to get good leverage in big fields, though. That's exactly what we want. It's the kind of player we want. And look, you can play, if you like Scotty, you can play Scotty and Rory together, and you can just, there's good players under 7K this week too. So that's my take on Rory. The player I most like betting though at the top is Hovland. Another player he's just ready to win. I think this is a course where he could come in, really just fire his approaches, kind of just take control of the tournament. It's a very approach driven venue. The around the green game has been solid for him of late. And if he just plays average there, he should be okay. So those are the two guys I'm looking at the top. Certainly Hovland's number a little bit more appealing.
Isn't that who Sobel was kind of feeling?
Sobel likes him. Yeah. Sobel likes him.
Okay.
As well.
So I saw this crazy stat too with Scheffler this morning. With his T3 finish at the Charles Schwab Challenge, Scotty Scheffler has 14 straight top 20 finishes in stroke play events dating back to October of 2022. If you started with $100 and you bet him top 20 in each and rolled your winnings over every time, you would be up roughly $20,000 right now. Like,
dang.
I mean, hindsight's 2020 here, and I think he's like minus 300 for a top 20 finish.
Yeah, don't start now.
No. You may be like a little late to the party here. Fryer, you dropped in Slack that you had not one but 2 golf plays. So we're hitting the hashtag Fade Fryer segment off the top of our show. Give me the one between the 2 you are most confident in.
You know what's funny is when I was looking this over, I actually did consider Hovland in some of this, but looking at his course history, I was like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about him in this spot necessarily. Instead, I'm going back to a guy who Jeff loves, but I know in his cheat sheet, he did not talk about this guy this week, Byung-Hyun An. And this is for the top 20 market. If you go over there, Jeff, on DraftKings Sportsbook, plus 350 there. There's also even money to finish in the top 40. He's coming off it was a tied 21st last time out. And then before that, a tied 14th. He's done well here in the past. I know he missed the cut. I think it was the last 2 years. But he came in with poor form in those instances. Obviously, a little bit different here. And a stat that is important this week is strokes gained around the green. He is second in that category right now. I know he's not elite in bogey avoidance, which is a stat that Jeff was citing over in the cheat sheet over on DK Nation, but he's been improved of late. So I think that you could go, is it ladder betting that how you like to call it, Jeff, when you're betting into these market share on one guy?
Yeah. If you want to, ladder betting is just structuring your bets. If you want to start with the top 40, you put a bigger percentage down, and then as you get up and the odds get bigger, you just, cut smaller pieces off of your bet into those markets. So yeah, that's certainly one way I would approach Benny An this week. I think
dude, love him. I got him for first round leader tomorrow. First round leader, him and Adam Scott, baby. Listen, one of them is going to be at the top of that effing leaderboard tomorrow, and Daddy's going to be able to feed his children for days to come.
Look, we're all aligned on Benny An. I mean, he
look
gained
at us, boys.
Striking.
Let's go.
Last week, lost in a playoff here in 2018. He's got an early tee time. I wrote him up.
Bryson.
Round leader bets. So, I mean, again, we're all aligned. It's a little scary, but
it's
I
not.
Benny An.
I know it's really well. Over.
Yeah, he's playing really well. So.
I know our as I was just kind of scanning our other golf experts over on DK Nation, I saw Landon who does our best bets article. I think he was on in some capacity as well. So I mean, like, it's not like we're alone here, but I don't know if he's that like popular among everybody else. That would be a little concerning. But Jeff, I'm curious, are you thinking more top 20 or top 40? Because I'm thinking, get a little bit more on top 40 and then a little less on top 20. I mean,
I would play Benny Ann's a really volatile player. I would actually just play him top 10, to be honest. Like, I mean, you can certainly take some top 20. If you want to try and be, you could certainly go top 40 or something, but the way he's playing, like he tends to be really volatile. He's also a player who, if things start to go south on the greens, he'll just throw in a 76. But I don't have a problem chasing him in the top 10 market. You look at DraftKings this week, and he was actually, his price has come down a little bit. I think people probably noticed he was plus 13,000 at one point for the outright, and he may have even been like bigger, but plus 850 for a top 10. I'm fine with that. Like, I mean,
one of his favorite stops on tour, Jeff. Like, absolutely,
he's almost won a PGA National, which is another Jack Nicklaus design course. So this has been a good
hardest courses on tour.
It's a really good wedge player. Small greens here, you have to be able to scramble. As Nick mentioned, he's a really elite scrambler. So his off the tee game he's just been mashing off the tee lately, like legitimately gaining like 3 strokes on the field. He's long, and when he gets in a groove, like he hits a ton of fairways. So we'll see. The putter has to show up. If the putter doesn't show up, he's not going to challenge. If it does, that's what I mean. Like, I think he'll definitely challenge for a top 10. So it's kind of a boomer bust play, but in those, just take the top 10. So.
Okay.
And don't be surprised if Adam Scott's best round this week comes tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't hate Adam Scott.
Right?
I
listen, Jeff.
Scott too.
He's been getting hot. And again, my only 2 bets as of this time, first round leader tomorrow, but he came out shooting 68 in the first round of the PGA. And then let's not forget 63 to begin the Byron Nelson. Past 2 starts, man. So hot. Let's go. Adam Scott. My wife thinks he's cute. Another reason to back that dude.
Okay.
Absolutely. I actually don't hate Ricky Fowler for a first round leader bet tomorrow either. He's early tee time. The early tee times have been paid off at Memorial. It's going to be dry. It's going to be fast greens. So earlier tee times going to have a bit of advantage the first 2 days. But regardless, I certainly like all those plays. Adam Scott's playing better golf.
Yeah.
He just couldn't really putt at the PGA, but a lot of players struggle with those greens. He's played
screw putting, man. You know what I mean?
That's the only thing I can do.
Yeah, I know. And shout out to Ricky too, because of like his performance last week, Jeff. He punched his ticket to the Open.
Yeah, I'm not. That's a good point. I'm not. I think that Ricky's betting number has gotten a little silly. He's down to plus 35. It's not that I don't think he can win. It's just that, like we just talked about, Adam Scott, Shane Lowry in this range. I think those guys are just objectively better bets. You could certainly bet Ricky and those guys as well, but yeah, that's the way that's why I bet Ricky first round, because I just think that, he's come out fast a couple times this year too. He's playing well. There's no harm in betting him. Just, looking for markets is good too.
What's his number for first round later?
It's plus 4,000 on DraftKings.
Okay.
It's a little bit bigger than his outright number. So yeah.
Okay. Brian, did you give your second one?
I did not. No.
And go for it.
I'm expecting Jeff to fade this one because I know that you talk about how recent form is so important, and this guy's recent form, not all that great. As much as he is top 10 in strokes gained around the green, top 20 finish plus 300, Chris Kirk. I know at top 40 he's minus 110, playable, but not really. I know even money versus minus 110, it's not really a huge difference, but I just feel like this is a chance for him to break through. Plus 300, and this is a get right spot for him. And I know he didn't do well here last year, but he came in with good form, better form. And then the previous year, he came in with bad form, and then he finished, tied for 26th. So just need him to be a little bit better than that this time around. So yeah, plus 300, Chris Kirk for top 20.
And you gotta love the stat that Jeff has already mentioned. Not only played well at the Honda Classic, remember earlier this year, freaking won it. I think it was a playoff. Jack Nicklaus course there, Jeff. So going to be tough to argue this pick here.
Yeah, the recent form is the only thing really with Kirk, but he was actually okay at the PGA. I don't hate it. I mean, I think that, Kirk, I wish he was a little bit bigger in that number, but you're getting a little bit of course history baked in as well. I think when you look at that range for a top 20, the only other guy that really would stick out to me is maybe Harris English, but Kirk has better course history. So I have one more top 20 bet. So I would probably rather bet this guy than Kirk, for the simple fact we're getting a lot bigger number. And I think he's a really, really good player, and he's been playing well. It's Justin Suh at plus 500. He's gained multiple strokes putting in 6 straight events. The approach game woke up last week. He is a really high-end young player. We've seen young players in the past come to this event and really elevate their games playing in front of Jack Nicklaus. I like this bet better mainly because you're getting such a talented player with Suh. And if his irons wake up, the way he's been putting, I think he's definitely going to challenge for this. And it's just a bigger number. So again, I think in that range, like I do like Kirk, but my top 20 bet this is actually this is the guy I like the ladder bet because I think actually his top 40 number is pretty nice too. But Justin Suh, really talented. I think he's underrated this week. And I think you could bet him all the way up to top 10. I really think he's got that kind of upside this week. So like him in DFS too, he's only 6,900. So see what is there's Brandon Wu. There's Justin Suh. Plus 140. Yeah, completely fine with plus money odds for a top 40 there.
Jeff, is there anybody else you'd like to mention before we move on here? Because the NBA final starts tomorrow night.
Okay,
so
actually, I'm gonna go off a little bit off the board. There is a European Tour event this week, Porsche Euro Open.
What?
This
is great.
There's a PGA regular playing, Matty Schmid, plus 5,000. This guy hits it a ton. There's 6 par 5s on this course in Germany this week.
Oh my God. I would destroy this course.
Exactly, right? So Schmid played really well last week. He hit the ball well. He was 4th in strokes gained off the tee. He's a good young player. And I just look at this field, and this is a player who's had top 10s on the PGA. He was in the final group in Bermuda, or he's in one of the 2 final groups. He's proven himself to be able to compete at times on the PGA. He played well last week. I don't think he should be double the odds of guys like Bjork, Joyce Luton. Like, you guys may not know these. These are okay players, but like is a PGA.
No, what are you talking about?
Like, I think this is a really good number to take a shot with him, and a top 10 plus 500 as well. So just wanted to throw that out there, kind of making my call this week. I just think that he's a really interesting play in that field.
All right. Jeff's going off the board here a little bit on the links. Fryer, how off the board will you go betting game 1 of the NBA Finals tomorrow night? We got the Nuggets, we got the Heat, last 2 teams standing here. Only one will be remembered in the record book. So what's the approach tomorrow night?
So yeah, I got 3 bets from the game that I like, but one I really want to touch on quickly, Emerson, that we didn't get a chance to talk to on the sweat today. But looking at the series long player prop section, over-unders on points per game, rebounds per game, one that jumped out at me was Aaron Gordon over 11.1 points per game. I was looking at Murray a little bit too, but that's just like, it's too, like, the number makes too much sense, so I don't like it. This is a slight bit too low for Aaron Gordon, I think. You look at the first 3 rounds, he's averaged 12.8 points or better in each series. And when you look at Miami's defense, okay, what's their priorities? Okay, it's Jokic, it's Murray, and then it's their 3-point shooters. Now, Aaron Gordon can go and score a couple 3-pointers here and there, but he's not going to be on the top priority for their defense at all. So him getting 12 points per game, something he's done throughout the postseason, he can do that again. And in the last 2 series, we've seen him put up 20 spots once in each series. So that's going to help too if he goes and has like a down night and only scores something like 8 points. So Aaron Gordon over 11.1. I know it's a weird number, points per game throughout this year. So actually he only needs to average 11.2. What am I saying? I'm looking at it from like our normal standpoint of like, half line. So 11.1, we're golden.
Sorry, where is the bet? Because the odds went off the board for a sec.
So that is in the NBA Finals tab, not in the actual game.
NBA Finals?
Yeah, it's like for the series long props. It's a little complicated, but I'll move on to the actual game itself so we can.
Yeah, you got a game bet?
Yeah. So my favorite one here of the 3, so I did have an Aaron Gordon one, but Michael Porter Jr. is the one that I've been waiting for this game for. I bet him in the final game of that Lakers series to go over on his 3-point prop. Then I'm doing it again here in this one, over 2.5. Now the value isn't, it's like, I think it's minus 145 last I checked. So you're not getting this crazy big payout, but at the same time, he had 3+ 3-pointers in 40 of his 62 regular season games this season. So that's 64.5%. Obviously regular season only means so much, especially when we're getting to the NBA Finals. But again, when you look at the list of priorities, their 3-point shooters are going to be important, and Michael Porter Jr. is definitely number 3 on that list, but he's still number 3 on that list, and Jamal Murray can go bananas, and obviously we know what Jokic is capable of. Also, in the postseason, Porter Jr. has 3+ 3-pointers in 8 of 15 games, so that's only 53.3%. So still good, but a little bit down from where he was in the regular season. Now that makes sense, seeing how defenses adjust and so on and so forth. But to me, that also screams he's like where he's been good, he can still continue to do this. He can do better than he has been. Whereas like KCP, as much as his prop is appealing at 1.5, I'm a little concerned about it being 1.5. If it was 2.5, it would probably be a little bit more of an appealing play. So yeah, and then the Heat too, like from a defensive standpoint, they gave up a lot of good 3-point looks to the Celtics last round. They just couldn't hit any of them. I mean, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, I told Emerson this day, the office the other day, Jeff, you had Caleb Martin knock down 22 3-pointers alone. And
Right.
Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown didn't even combine for that much. 2 all-NBA guys and an undrafted guy. I know that narrative is getting beaten to death, but that is remarkable.
It doesn't matter. The Celtics rely too much on the 3, man.
Yes, they
way
do. But
way too much on 3.
But they got like the one thing I have to give them is they got a lot of good looks from 3. And that says more about the Heat's defense as much as the Celtics, were setting good screens and, had good ball movement. There were opportunities. There are going to be opportunities for the Nuggets throughout this series too.
I think this postseason, we've been reminded once again that Eric Spoelstra, who ran circles around Joe Mazzulla at times in the Eastern Conference Finals, he is such an advantage for this Heat team that really has like Jimmy Butler, occasionally Bam.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, you could easily make an argument that this is the best coaching job that he has ever done in his career.
Yeah.
So Fryer, what's your take on this series? Do you think the Heat have a chance?
I mean, I would like to see the Heat have a chance. I would love a compelling series. I'm not going to go and if you want to attack it from a series long standpoint in the look at those markets, I think the exact amount of games in this series is the best way to go about it. That 5 or 6 is the way that I would attack it. 7 is the favorite at plus 220, but like
what is 7? You said
7 games is the favorite right now.
That's crazy because like when I interviewed Rachel Nichols yesterday, she had like a stat about like hardly any NBA Finals has gone like 7 games or something like that. Like
crazy.
She listed off like a couple,
Just
but
back up.
It's extremely rare.
You interviewed Rachel Nichols?
Yeah, dude. And of course, DraftKings hasn't tweeted out an effing thing from our freaking interview yesterday.
Well,
like, what the hell are we doing here?
I like Rachel Nichols.
She was awesome.
Really
she was phenomenal. She's like elite at her job and knows hey, listen, I'll give her a shout out now. Northwestern alum too. Like, what are we doing? We pumped out some incredible content. DraftKings, let's go. Let's tweet it out, man. She's got 1 million followers. Got 1 million followers. She enjoyed talking to me. I put a smile on her face because we were just having fun talking sports and basketball and just enjoying time together. Put it out. Tweet it out.
I'll talk to some people on your behalf and see if we can get that fixed.
No,
I mean,
I'm trying. I'm like,
she'll
what's
tweet it
going
out.
on?
Her and I are great friends, as you now know, so I can get that taken care of for you.
She did reply to one of your tweets today, but it's funny. Like the only content we pumped out with her, and I say content, is you tagged her in a tweet when you were bitching about how you didn't get to talk about the women's lacrosse team winning the national championship, but Golick Jr. got to talk about the Notre Dame men winning the national championship.
Yes. The disrespect is unreal. There was a lot that was wrong with that, and I think you are going to be feeling the wrath of that at some point down the line because someone is upset with you.
Is that a threat, buddy? You want to come over here?
No, it's not me. It's not me. I'll see you on Friday. I'm not worried about seeing you. But to go back to the betting, Jeff.
Yeah. Let's go back to the betting. Let's go back.
I'll act like the host for a second.
Have at it.
5 and 6 games are both at plus 240. The total for this series is actually set at 5.5. It's minus 140 right now to go over. That is a safe way to to handle this thing. I think that's fair. My favorite play, though, in terms of like payout, it's not as appealing, but it seems like I said this to you this morning, Emerson. It seems like free money to me. I know it's not, but it just feels too good to be true. Is if you go to, I think the tab was the highest scoring performance of the series, and maybe it was under the stats, but it was for the highest scoring performance by a team. You had it for a player, but then by a team. Nuggets are minus 140 on that. I feel like that should be an unbettable number. Like it should be something like, minus 250, maybe even 300. To see that minus 140, I mean, I don't know how you don't attack that, especially with the Heat being as tired coming into this series. I'm not saying they can't steal a game here or 2 even.
Yeah, that's highest scoring performance.
Yes, there to scroll down right there. That's
wow, minus 140. That is interesting.
Yeah,
I admit.
Yeah. That one's probably like of the series long ones. The Aaron Gordon play I highlighted earlier, but then this Nuggets one it's like it just seems like a play. Like it's like you
What's
got to take a chance.
What's the biggest total Miami put up against Boston?
I'll go to it right now.
I think it was in the 120 range. We've seen them put up 130.
They blew them out one game. Here we go.
Those are blowouts.
Yeah.
Because all right, here we go. Yeah. It was game 1, 123, I think was the highest. No, they scored 128 in game 3.
So, and then the other logic too in this too, I honestly didn't think about it till you were like,
until
we started breaking it down.
Really, they're so hot or cold, bro.
They are, and Nuggets have a good defensive team. Watching what they did against Lakers, they have length, they have good switchability, and I'm not saying the Heat role players can't do well again, but to expect them to do that, and then also on top of that, we're expecting the Nuggets to outscore the Heat in 4 games. Like everybody's expecting the Nuggets to win this series. So under that logic alone, it shouldn't take much. Now the Heat could just do it in 1 game and pop off for 130. But it would stands to reason that the Nuggets are going to have multiple chances to do that.
To your point, Nick, the Nuggets are minus 425 to win the series and only minus 140 in that market. So even if it's a 7-game series and they win, they're going to have 4 times where they outscore the Heat. So yeah, that's a pretty good number. I agree. There's probably some arbitrage or whatever you want to call it there.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
To me, like a lot of these other plays are like, I'm like Jamal Murray to MVP. Like I sprinkled a little bit on that to see if he can sneak that. But this is like, I don't do this with future plays too often, but like, this is something I look at like that's a whole unit play for me.
Jokic is going to be able to win that MVP.
What?
Because Jokic should have been triple MVP, NBA MVP.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah,
I know Jamal Murray's playing well, but like I do feel like if you want to bet the Nuggets, just bet Jokic MVP. Like,
but the value's not even there for that either.
Jamal Murray would have to go bananas not to get MVP.
He absolutely would. Again, this one
he had a couple games where he did go bananas though.
He did, but like Joker does that every game. That's just a regular game for Nikola Jokic.
Dude, 100%.
Triple-double machine, man.
Yeah, 100%. He should win it. Like I would be stunned if he doesn't, but he has Murray has a chance to steal that. So, but
I actually really like doing that. Like if you're just stepping into the NBA Finals, I know there's risk involved, and I know he could lose. The Nuggets could win, but like I feel like he should be like plus 100 at least. Like a fit. Like is Nikola Jokic really worse than 50-50 to win the MVP if the Nuggets win? Like. Dude, I know that's not really what these odds are saying because the Nuggets. I know that there's more into that, but like, I don't know, man.
He's like minus 300 right now, I think, isn't he?
Yeah,
yeah. So yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Well,
is he minus 300? Oh, yeah, I'm looking at the single highest. Never mind. Just
okay. Yeah.
I'm
so
not even looking at the right.
It's okay.
Right. This final time basketball.
Yeah, minus 360.
No, I'm sorry. He's minus 360.
Yeah, he's not a bettable number. That's why it's like okay.
Yeah, you're like, what are you talking about?
I was confused there.
Let's move on to MLB before I.
No, actually, we don't really have time to move on to anything else.
Oh, what was your pick, Jeff? Can you just tell us the pick?
Oh, Jarrett Kelenic, home run tonight.
Okay.
The pitcher for the Yankees is giving up he's just giving up home runs left, right, and center this year. I can't even remember his name. Graham?
Clark Schmidt.
Yeah, don't even worry about it, dude. It's not even important.
Schmid.
Okay, I'm gonna I gotta get out of here. We have Pittsburgh and the Chargers coming up next in Madden Land. You guys were awesome, Jeff. I know you're crushed. We ran out of time. Couldn't talk about hockey. I know you're really, really excited for that, for the Stanley Cup Finals to start on Saturday.
I mean, I am, but I'm also
Team of Destiny. Bet the Panthers win the series. I don't like
the Stanley Cup Finals because they're in June, and it's just like ice in June. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know.
Are we still pulling for the Oilers, guys?
Shut up.
We were. At least the team that beat our team is representing the West.
Yeah.
And then the team that beat your team here in Boston, Nick, is representing the East. And the Panthers, I'm sorry, nothing is standing in their way, especially when you have Zuter McGavin, when you have Brooks Koepka supporting the Panthers in the stands and not blinking for 5 straight minutes. All right. I love you guys and gals. We'll see everyone tomorrow morning, Thursday edition of The Sweat, 11 o'clock Eastern time. Thank you, producer Eamon. Thank you, TP on the ones and twos. Peace out, everybody.